Welcome to Inspiring Possible. I'm Christy, former stuck person turned therapist and dream consultant. Are you feeling stuck, overwhelmed, uncertain, or just need a little inspiration? Then I want to help you gain the clarity, confidence, and courage to create possibilities and live a life you love. Because folks, life's too short to be miserable. Welcome back, Inspiring Possible people. Thank you again for joining me today. You know, it's always interesting to see where this journey of life takes us. And I have someone in the podcast studio today where we're going to talk a little bit about where his journey has taken him. But you know, a lot of times when we are moving down this thing called life, sometimes we have hard beginnings. Sometimes, you know, our beginnings may not be so hard, but no matter where you come from, there is a lot of possibilities that are possible for you. And sometimes we just have to keep on going, and that requires some tenacity. So I actually have Scott Scovill in the house, who's an award-winning entrepreneur and creative powerhouse. He is the founder of MOO TV, and he authored a book that was 7 years, I found out, in the making. Tenacious, the art of relentlessly pursuing your wildest dreams. So y'all know we about dream making over here. So I'm excited that I got the person who even wrote a book about that in the house, Scott. So welcome, Scott, to Inspiring Possible today.
Oh, it's really good to be here. I was amazed that no one had written a book about tenacity.
Yeah.
There's books called Tenacity that talk about one person's tenacious story into doing something really specific. But there's a lot of specifics in my book, but the book is about the idea of how being tenacious can change your life.
Well, let's like take our little time machine, Scott, and travel back in time, maybe even 7 years ago. And it could even be before then, but when do you think this book actually started? Maybe in your head or, you know, along your journey
Hmm.
that you're like, I think I'm going to write a book about this.
Yeah, we were nominated for the Polestar, my video production company. I'm in entertainment. I have a company that does video on tour for bands. And we were nominated for best company 7 years in a row. And by the seventh year, like people were calling me Susan Lucci because I never won. And it's this guy. It's this very heavy, substantial award. I got a few of them up here. We've won like 13 times, so they're not
That's
all up here.
incredible.
But the first time we won, um, I was so used to applauding, like I just sat there and applauded and went, "Yes, they're very good." And the person next to me hit me and said, "It's you." And I went like, rewind the tape. I'm like, "Oh my God." I jump up, I
Wait.
give my acceptance speech. I've watched the video of it. It was very reasonable. And the reason I say that that's odd is I walked off stage and I fell against the wall and thought I was having a stroke. And it turns out that I have a pronounced fear of public speaking and that I had stopped breathing right as I was walking off
Really?
stage because I was so scared. And I don't like being afraid of things. And you know, you'll read about that in my story, but I used to be very afraid of everything. And now I try and run towards the fear. So I wanted to fix that. So I asked a college if I could speak, and I thought I would speak in front of a class. They put me in front of 300 and something kids,
Of course they
and
did.
I flop sweated. My hearing started to shut down. Like I had the same kind of episode I had on the side of the stage, but for like a long time in front of all these people, just struggling to like stay conscious. Probably was not the best public speaker they ever had. But I walked out of that going, well, you've confirmed that you're afraid of public speaking. And so I asked if I could do it at another college, and I made it much better through that, only 35 kids or so. But in the front row, a girl started crying halfway through my talk. And I was like, whoa. So afterwards, I said, are you okay? And she said, I'm so sorry if I distracted, but I quit school today. And I went around to all my classes and told everyone that I cared about, like goodbye and good luck. And then I came to this talk just thinking I might see one more friend I could say goodbye to. And listening to your talk, I decided I could do this. I'm not going to quit school. And as soon as I realized that, I started crying. And I'm so sorry if I distracted from your talk. And, you know, I was there trying to fix me. But
Mm.
I had accidentally had a real impact on this young lady, and I teamed up with her boyfriend and coached both of them a little bit, not much, and was very proud to watch her graduate school and move on to an even more specialized school. And that was powerful to me. And I thought, well, I want to be better at this. So I knew a guy, my best friend, Hunter, was friends with a guy named Cameron Harold, who is one of the guests in my book. My book has 17 really fascinating guests in it. And he's an alpha entrepreneur. And I know he makes like a bunch of money every time he speaks, like tens of thousands, flies private jets. Like he's awesome. I could learn from this guy. Like if I want to do more of this and help more people, I should talk to him. So I lied and told him I'd be in his hometown in the hopes he would get a meeting with me. He said he would. So I flew to
So you're
Phoenix.
like, "Okay, I'm going."
Yeah, I flew to Phoenix and really hit it off with him. And our meeting turned into him taking me back to his house and his wife and he at the time, and he and I cracked open a bottle of wine and we're sitting out on his back deck and he goes, "You're going to write books." And I'm like, "What? No, I'm not going to write books. I'm trying to be a public speaker." And he goes, "You're a storyteller. You're going to write books. You're going to do both." So I said no, but the next day his publisher called me and said, "So I hear we're writing books together." And I'm like, "No, I'm not writing books." But that got me thinking about it. And I was thinking about helping that young lady and how good that felt. And maybe it would feel good to write a book, but what would I write about? And when I came across the idea of tenacity, thinking about my life, what a powerful force it's been and how transformative it's been for me, that started me down the path of really digging into that. Like, okay. And then I started thinking about all the artists I work with, like, Brad Paisley and Dirk Bentley and Alan Jackson and Garth Brooks and Peter Frampton. And all these people actually contribute to my book as well. But I started thinking about their stories. And while they're all wildly talented, some of them have pitch perfect hearing and photographic memories and incredible natural talents. But they will all, when asked, tell you the only reason they made it is because they didn't give up. And I was like, that's really something. Like in my life, it has made all the difference, but in their special lives, it's made all the difference. That's worth writing about. That's a story worth telling. And I might be able to help people with that story. And as soon as that all locked into place, I was like, well, I need to do it now. I need to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how has tenacity showed up for you in your life? Like what are you, besides public speaking, what are some other things that you feel like, man, this is where I've really had to push through and I've gotten and I didn't give up and I got to the other side?
Yeah. Well, let's get in the way, way back machine. I
Okay.
was a pretty dysfunctional kid. And we won't go into the reasons why, but I was pretty broken as a kid. And I barely graduated high school. I flunked out of college. And I was diagnosed with a fear of failure so extreme that the psychologist said it would be easier for me to grab a red hot stove and hang on and maim myself than to actually try.
Wow. Okay.
And
Interesting.
yeah. And so it's powerful to get a diagnosis. It's powerful to know what's wrong with you because the brain it acts in such funny ways, right? And
Mhm.
that was really powerful for me. But my fear of failure at that moment I got the diagnosis was leading me to fail. I was so afraid of failing that I was flunking out of college.
Mm.
And I was scared and I started thinking my life's going to be something less. And that wasn't a good feeling at all. And so that was my motivation way back. And I happened to I was a waiter, not a very good one, at a Howard Johnson's. And I waited on U2's road crew at the same time all that was coming into place. And I discovered that you could tour with music for a living. And that was wildly exciting to me. And there's a story I've told a million times, so we won't tell it here. But where I discovered music and the lights went out, the crowd went wild, and standing in the dark at the U2 show, I was like, this is what you're going to do with your life. But a moment later, I realized I was going to have to try. And a moment after that, I made myself a promise that I would start trying and never stop trying until that dream was mine. And so 2 years later, I get hired by the Rolling Stones. A whole lot happens in between. But in those 2 years, I grew tenacity. And in just 2 years, by just trying, being willing to try, I went from being the kid that was afraid and ashamed to the guy who's literally traveling around the world with the Rolling Stones. Like I went to 20 something countries that year with the Rolling Stones. It was a
Wow.
dream job for a
Yeah.
21-year-old. And so yeah, I got the job, but more importantly, I got tenacity. So your question, my long-winded way around of well, how else is it showing up in my life is in every way. And when I find something I like, I just go after it. When something seems fun to me, I just do it. I get over all that internal voice that says, you can't do that. You don't want to do that. You'll embarrass yourself. You'll fail. Yeah, you probably will embarrass yourself. If it's really a big dream, yeah, you probably will fail along the way. But I've done that. I learned to ice skate at 35 years old because hockey looked awesome to me. So I learned to ice skate. And the stories that came out of that, I mean, I ended up almost buying part of the Predators. Like my life in hockey was huge. My condo became the after party for the hockey team. Like the NHL team was at my condo after the bars closed regularly. Like
Yeah.
that all came from just, I want to play hockey, so I'm going to learn to ice skate.
Mhm.
Um, I always loved music, but I never thought I could sing. I was told by a teacher I couldn't, and I believed them. And I got drunk at a bar in Norway, and they turned the radio down at like 4 in the morning because I was singing along and said, "Keep singing." And so I a cappella finished the song "Hurt" because I was probably just drunk enough to do that.
Yeah.
And they said, "Cool, you're joining us on stage tomorrow night." And I did. And because I love music and I love singing, even though I wasn't that good, I was good enough, I guess. They were like, "You should join our band." So I guess I was okay. 'Cause I was like, "What? Join a band in Norway? That's nuts." But I did. And now so where did that lead to? Like a couple of goofy shows in Norway? No, where it led to is next month I am Brad Paisley's opening act in Norway. Like I have been on tour with Brad as his opening act in Europe a couple of times and get to perform in front of 10,000 people. So tenacity has been it's just changed everything in my life. And I'm not the most tenacious person you'll ever meet, but I am the most improved. I'm
I
far
love
too
that. I love
dysfunctional.
that. You know
Yeah.
what? It's so great. I actually was talking to a girl I work with. Her daughter just finished, I think it's the third grade. And she came back from their little awards ceremony that they had yesterday. And she was just crying, talking about how her daughter won an award this year. And she's been wanting to win an award for a long time, but she just never hit it. And she has a sibling that always wins the awards, right? So she always feels like left behind or left out. And she was so proud of herself because this year she won the award for most improved. And I think it's a good reminder of just how what you're talking about right now. It's that it's not that you might be always the person in the room that's got it 100% perfect or always seem to be excelling or like that natural talent you said some of the artists that you've worked with really just seem to have. Sometimes it's just being the person in the room that says, "You know what? I'm struggling at this, but I'm not going to give up until I figure it out." And I'm gonna figure it out. And it may not still be perfect at the end, but at least I've tried. And it sounds like one of the things I'm hearing from your story is it almost sounds like you're a person also that says yes to a lot of things. Like, okay, sure, why not? And it sounds like that's also led you to where you are today just by having these encounters where you just said, sure, that sounds like a great idea. Let me just at least try it, you know?
Think about this. Think about all your favorite movies. In your favorite movies, is the lead character awesome and everything's going perfect for him from the opening scene?
Never. Never.
Never.
Doesn't make for a good story.
You things seem like they're okay, but they're really not. There's
Mhm.
hopes, there's dreams. And then by the second act, in all the best movies, he's not going to make it or she's not going to make it. It's not going to be okay. It's all falling apart. It's just struggle.
Mhm.
But then in the end, somehow, because they didn't give up, they get to their dream, whatever it is. And I think those are the stories we want to watch. And I think those are the stories we want to live. We want to live like that lead character who's who's just going to look to do something that's hard that he's probably not or she probably isn't good enough for or are they if they really, really try? And
Yeah.
that's the kind of life I want to lead and I've led. And that's just life. That's awesome to me.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because I don't know about you, but when I get to places that I struggled really hard to get there, I have a lot more sense of pride in myself for
Yeah.
not giving up. And I don't know about you, Scott, but in my journey, every time that I want to give up, it's normally like right after that, if I keep going, that everything turns, you know?
Well, why do you want to give up?
Yeah. Well,
Why do
sometimes
you
you
want to
just,
give
because
up?
it's hard. That's why it's hard.
Yeah. Because it
Or it
hurt,
doesn't
because you
work out the way
failed.
you originally intend it to work out, and so then you're
Yeah.
having to revamp what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got embarrassed. You feel bad about yourself. You don't like doing things you're not great at. Um, all those reasons. But if you push through them, and to me, a young me, that was death. I had to be perfect or I was a failure. And I just was terrified to try because I didn't want to prove to myself that I wasn't perfect in some way. And in so doing, I just led myself to this life that was less and less and less. And when I flipped that switch and started saying, screw it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try and I'm going to fail and I'm going to learn from those failures and I'm going to keep going. That's when everything started happening for me. And I get that it's hard. It's still hard for me. It's not, hope you don't look at me and go, that guy, everything's easy for him because he found the magic sauce. I did find the magic sauce. And it's almost never easy for me still because I still have those voices in my head of like, you can't and you're going to fail and all that. But I have years of experience that say, like, but if you do try and you don't give up, if this means enough to you that you'll keep going, you'll get through it and you'll be really proud of it. And the alternative is you won't get through it and you won't be really proud of it. I think I'll take the first path. I think I'm going
Yeah.
to try.
What do you think are some things that help you push through to keep trying? Is there anything like any kind of things that you do for yourself to like help you either A, not give up, B, keep going, or when it's really hard, just say,
Yeah.
okay, you got to keep on being a little bit delusional that you're going to make it to the other side? Because you will make it, but
Yeah.
what are some things that Scott does, or what are some things that you've found, and even some of the people you've talked
Yeah.
with in your book to help them keep pushing through?
Well, a big one on the happy side, I've learned that I can do it.
Hmm.
And I've reinforced that by continuing to do it. On the negative side, I feel bad about myself when I don't do it. And that's a pretty good motivator too. You're like, do I want to keep feeling like this? I don't like feeling like this. And it takes me back to that real breaking point when I was, 19 years old, flunking out of college. I'm like, wait a minute. I was going to have an amazing life. We're all in high school. We're all going to have an amazing life. And then somewhere along the line from high school where there's infinite possibilities, the possibilities narrowed down to this moment where you're like, this is me. And I was at that point where I was like, this is Scott. This isn't amazing. This doesn't make him happy. He's ashamed of this. Shit. What are we going to do about it? And the answer is we're going to try to do something else. We're going to find a dream, which is a big part of it. Like, this is not a book to tenaciously get you through that job you hate. Good for you for getting through it. We all need to have a job to pay the bills. But this is more of a dream of like chasing a dream, like more a book about chasing dreams and doing the things that are hard and scary that maybe you don't have to do, but you
Yeah.
want to. And we get one life. We should do the things we want to do.
Hello, say it louder for the people in the back.
You should do the things you want to do
Yeah,
with your one life.
because it's true. I think sometimes we do forget we get one life. I mean, at least that's what I think we get. I don't know about coming back. I
I
don't
think
know.
maybe we get more, but
You know,
right now we're confined to this for
we're
right as
here.
far as we're not allowed to see ahead or behind or whatever. I do believe there's a life after.
Yeah,
That's not we can't see that right now. This
yeah.
is what we've got right now.
This is what we know we have, so we know it's
Yep.
not infinite. It's going to end at some
Yep.
point, and that right now, this is what we've been given. I do have, what would you say to somebody who may be listening and maybe they are stuck in that job that maybe started out at some point as a dream, but it's kind of turned into maybe, I don't want to say a nightmare, but maybe something that's a struggle that they don't want to be in anymore. But it's hard for them to let go of all the time, energy, and effort that they've put into building the thing that didn't turn out the way they anticipated. What would you say?
You know, I've never been great about thinking about the future. And I think I've gotten better because I belong to this thing called Entrepreneurs Organization. And we do an exercise every couple of years where we do like a presentation as if we're the CEO of a company and the company is us. So we're expected to metaphorically stand up to a podium and present to our board of directors how great things have been going for the company, Scott. And when I do that, it forces me to think about what my perfect life would be 10 years from now. And if your current job that you're struggling at isn't in it, then maybe it doesn't belong in there. And maybe something else does. And maybe there's an industry you're passionate about. Maybe you were passionate about this industry and now it just isn't so great. Or maybe you're going to keep at this job because there's a financial reward that's going to allow you to express yourself creatively somewhere else. And, the job doesn't have to be the answer. Ideally, it'd be great to have a great job and great pursuits otherwise. But I think doing that exercise, like sit down with a piece of paper and go, okay, it's 2036, and I am presenting to my board of directors on how great Scott's life has been for the past 10 years because he did this. And so that might look like, let's just say that I decided I wanted to do something crazy, become an NHL star. I'm not going to do that in my 50s, but, I would get up there and say like, well, Scott just rounded out his 4th year in the NHL, and he's so, uh, this didn't just happen overnight. It happened because he was willing to take this step, and he did the exercises every day. And even though he's way over the hill, he got in this shape. And, you come up with all the reasons why you made it and to present to the audience. Like you got to have a backstory. Like Scott's life is awesome. It's 2036 and he's amazing. Why? And then
Yeah,
what's the backstory? And then
I
that
love that.
backstory is actually your plan.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know if I've done, well, I have done the vision for the 10 years, but I did recently go to something and they made us do an exercise very similar. But it wasn't as far out. It was like just a year, like just write the letter about what your past year has been. And
Yeah,
then I've even done one thing that where you've even write your eulogy. Have you ever done
I've
this
done that.
before,
Yeah,
Scott?
we do that
Okay.
about every 3rd year we do each of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but either one of them, one of the things I want listeners to hear from your example is that it sounds like for you, this is not something that you really used to not do tons. It probably, I'm gonna guess, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong, Scott, is that it was maybe uncomfortable to do it the first time. Maybe you did it. It may have been harder. But I'm curious, has your vision been able to expand the more you've done it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely has. I've changed a lot. I've learned, you know, I I mean, in the beginning I was a scared kid, right? With reasons to be scared. And then I was an adolescent trying to figure out why his life was getting smaller. But within a couple of years, I was the guy who, when other people heard what I was doing with my life, my classmates, they were like, "No way."
What? Not Scott.
Yeah. Like, did he graduate? Is he in jail? What's going on with him?
Would you been have
And
a least likely to awards, Scott? Do you think they'd be, like, least likely to
I don't know. I talk to classmates and they say, "We had no idea you were struggling that much." So,
Mm,
but I did barely graduate and I
okay.
did flunk out of college. So there's the proof in the pudding. And
But they would have not known
um
that from the outside is what you're saying. They
yeah.
might have thought things were better than they were.
And I know, because of who you are, this will resonate with you. Chapters 9 and 10, in an 11 chapter book, I look really hard at who I am.
Mm,
The pandemic tears me down. My fear of failure, I beat it. I keep beating it day after day. And then for 18 months, I've got 200 employees and my entire industry is shut down and
Oh,
I die
wow.
a little bit. I
True.
fail them every day for 18 months and it tears me apart, which instigates me going into some pretty heavy therapy and looking at myself. And so that changed me a lot. EMDR, which was great, going through some PTSD that came back up, which actually started before the pandemic. But then after the pandemic, I went and did psychedelic therapy and
Okay. Yeah.
never in the world thought I would do something like that. I mean, I've spent my whole life in the music business and somehow never did drugs, which is not entirely normal.
Yeah.
Um,
That's pretty incredible.
and just was so afraid I would be addicted. I would be, whatever. It's like drugs are bad.
Mhm.
And then the next thing you know, I'm laying
Y'all
down at this
opened up with that
facility.
psychedelic therapy. I hear that. I haven't done it before, but I hear it opens you wide up.
It was incredible for me. But whatever kind of therapy you do, like, don't be afraid to look in the mirror. And so I'm a really, really, really different person now than I was in 2020, when the pandemic hit. Like, we're always changing, right? But you
Yeah.
wanna change for the better. And I think that through the therapy and the look in the mirror, as my chapter calls it, I am a truer version of myself than I've ever been. I do things for me. Um, my fear is still there, but it's mine. It's not misplaced fear from elsewhere. I think I've done a really good job of figuring out who I am. We'll never totally figure it out or get it right.
Yeah.
But again, like back to that young lady, I believe I'm in the running for most improved. And that's exciting, right? We just want to get better. And I believe I've
Yeah.
gotten a lot better and truer to myself through the years.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, the more as we're having this conversation, I'm thinking about it. Most improved actually sounds a lot better than sometimes I just got it from the beginning. Kind of like we were talking about, like, I already got that, because I think I always say when we stop learning or we stop really trying to be self aware of where are the things that, even for myself, I mean, my own journey, the more I like uncover something else, I'm like, and I have a trigger or something that I really reacted badly to something, and I'm like, ooh, I don't like that. And
Yeah.
you'd start getting your shovel out and you start digging, and you're like, "Oh, I thought I had arrived, but I still got places to places to go." But I'm curious, what now that you feel more aligned in who you are, how has that changed your life from even like 6 or 7 years ago,
Mm,
pre-pandemic, as you've
yeah.
done more of the internal work? What do you think has been the most noticeable shift for you?
I think that I am more comfortable in my own skin.
Mhm.
I think that I have a lot less anxiety. I think if you asked me 5 years ago, I wouldn't recognize just how much of what I was doing to make other people happy and to convince myself that I was okay, to prove something to myself. And the difference is, after all of my therapy and the past 5, 6 years of life of really looking in the mirror a lot, I now feel like I'm way closer to doing things because they're fun, because that's what Scott wants to do. And, still very responsible, right? I still own businesses. I still do things. I still write books. I'm achieving and doing things, but I'm doing things because that's what Scott wants to do, not because Scott needs to do that or he'll feel bad about himself. Scott
Yeah.
feels pretty good about himself, and he feels even better about himself when he does things that make him happy and when he accomplishes things and when he learns things. And I'm sure that resonates with your listeners because they could be listening to a playlist based on Don't Worry, Be Happy, but instead they're tuned into your podcast, right? Because
Yeah.
they want to learn things. They want to be the best version of themselves. And that is a never ending journey, but it's really a really rewarding one.
Yeah. Well, and like you said earlier, one of the things about tenacity is you have to keep on showing up even when it's hard. And I think sometimes even doing the internal work, what I've observed through my path is that it is one of the hardest things to do. but it almost sounds like the gift has been for you to get to the other side is that you're not living life based off of what you feel like you should do or you should do so that you don't have to feel this way of like
Yeah.
maybe shame or guilt or,
Yep.
whatever, fill in the blank. But it's like, no, I'm living more authentically and it's more aligned. And I feel like I don't have anything necessarily to prove, but I'm doing these things because this is where my passion lies. And me and you were talking even before we pushed the record button of like, hey, what would be a good outcome for you as we are having this conversation today? And one of the things you said is that like, look, I'm just trying to help make things better for other people. And if me putting my stuff out there or sharing my story or being able to share what I've learned along the way can help one person, then I'm doing it not out of fear, but I'm doing it out of actually maybe I'd almost say service, but also probably a love for others to help them not be able to have either the same struggle or to find a way forward in whatever struggle that they're finding themselves in. So.
Yeah, I think we've all experienced some injustice in our lives and things that aren't quite right. And some of those things that happened to me at an early age make me really value when things are right. And so you use the word in service, and I love that. I love to be in service of my fellow man, but it does make me feel good. It makes me
Mhm.
feel like things are right if we're helping each other. So I also do it selfishly. It just feels right to help and contribute. It feels good.
Yeah. Well, I told you I'm selfish about this podcast too. So we're in the same boat, Scott. Just because, also too, listening to other people has helped me reshape my mindset, but still getting to meet cool people and also trying to figure out ways that I can, again, like be better than I was yesterday. I think ultimately it's interesting because I think sometimes people believe that working on themselves or doing things for yourself can be I'm gonna say selfish, but really sometimes it's the greatest way you can show up for other people as authentically you.
Yep.
It's we get all these messages that say, if you're not just doing this, that you're not just doing this for other people, you're doing it actually for something that you enjoy and this is bringing you joy and fulfillment, then it may be something that's wrong or bad. But we got to figure out a way to rewrite those stories. It's like, no, it can be both, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Being the best version of yourself is the best thing you can do for everyone that you love. Like you're your best when you're comfortable and happy and doing things that you enjoy. You're fun to be around. You're inspiring. You're the best version of you. There's a big squirrel right outside my window taunting me. What's up, buddy?
Yep. It's
Go get some nuts and be the best version of you. All right. But yeah, be working on yourself is not it. You can don't think of it as selfish, and if you do, just go ahead and be a little selfish. But it's the best thing you can do for everyone around you. Take the time to work on yourself, and yeah,
What do you hope is the biggest takeaway for readers who read your book, Tenacious? Like, what are you hoping they walk away with from after reading it?
yeah. My dream would be that they're inspired to take to face a little more fear. They're probably already if you pick this book up, you're probably already someone who faces your fears, right? You're probably already someone who's searching and trying. But as we go down this path, you want to have friends that help and encourage you. And so I'd like to think that, the myself and the 17 guests in this book are just people who want to help and encourage you down that path. And we do it not by telling you what to do. I don't like to be told what to do, but we
Yeah.
tell you what we did. And at most, I ask you, what would your life be like if you made this choice at this point? I never say you need to do this because I don't want to be told what to do. I want to hear what other people did, and I want to be inspired by the things they did right, and I want to learn from the things they did wrong. And that's what my guests and I do. So my hope is that as you go through your journey and try and live the most interesting and most fulfilling life that you can, that this book helps you do that in some way by encouraging you to try, by encouraging you to be tenacious, by encouraging you to be less afraid of failing and more capable of learning from that failure and not quitting and just go and have the best life you can.
Yeah. Go do it. Because
Do it.
I actually say at the beginning of this podcast, life's too short to be miserable. So might
Yeah.
as well try to make the best of it, you know?
E- People have asked me what my definition of tenacity is. And so at first I was like, well, I don't know. Like, but I did write one down. And this feels right to me. It's the inner fortitude to relentlessly keep going despite overwhelming obstacles in front of you and inside of you. And that last little bit, I think it's missed out, but it was the big one for me. Is just the little decisions you make day to day towards, am I going to step towards having a better life, or am I going to sit here and think about wishing it was?
Yeah. Oh, well, and that's powerful because, I don't know about you, but there's been times in my life where I've sat and wished it would be better, but I didn't maybe have the energy, the motivation, or the tenacity, we'll use that word, to go out and do something different. But my path has also taught me very similarly to yours. The
Yeah.
more we can reach for the things that we feel passionate about or that we want in our life, the more likely it is that we're going to actually be able to grab a hold of them
Yeah.
versus just kind of wishing that things would change. So. Okay, well, if people want to be more tenacious and they want to grab this book, where can they find or connect with you, Scott?
Well, thankfully, Simon and Schuster is who, so it's everywhere. It's in every store. It's on Amazon. It's all over the world. So that's wonderful. But I did build a website as a companion to it that has some other things in it, deeper stuff, more pictures, tenaciousbook.com. So tenaciousbook.com will, and of course, links for where to buy it, but it's literally everywhere. Um, and then I'm Scott Scovill, so scottscovill.com. And on social media, the one that's not so personal and more about having a better life is Scott Scovill Creative. And that just covers my musical stuff and my author and my more of
Okay.
my endeavors, if you will.
Yeah. And then maybe you can also catch too some of this open and act when you're going
Yeah.
back to open for writing.
Yeah. I'll be in Hamar, Norway on June 13th and Allison, Norway on June 11th with Brad Paisley. And June 6th, I'll be in Newtown doing a headlining show.
Okay, fun. Well, and if you're listening, I mean, that's a good example too of like even that part of your journey of like, hey, maybe I was told by somebody that, maybe don't do that. And then
Yeah.
somebodies are wrong sometimes. Actually, a lot of
They're
times.
very often wrong, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Scott, I like to ask my guest one final question before we end our time today. But if going back in that little time machine that we were in earlier, if you were to go give one piece of advice or words of wisdom or encouragement to younger Scott, and you can pick wherever you want to visit younger Scott along the continuum of your life journey, but what's one thing that you would want to go back and say to younger you if you could?
You are not entirely what you were taught you are. You are you,
Mm.
and you are perfect as you are in all of your imperfections. You are okay, and you have this incredible gift of life. Just have fun with it. Learn, love, help people along the way, but have an incredible life.
Yeah, I love that. Hey, I'll take that piece of advice myself, because sometimes we got to remind ourselves that we're not what we were taught, or we're not what we were told, or we're not what we
Yeah.
believed for so long, that there is actually a whole nother realm. And I don't know about you, but I'm on the belief system that we're all created very unique and for a reason. And
Yeah.
I think it's just cool that there's never going to be a duplicate of us hanging out. Like, I mean, you can procreate and all that kind of good stuff, right? But
So we're not buying into the multiverse theory.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Catch me in the next verse. Maybe we'll talk about it then.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if that is true and we are unique and wonderfully made, then hey, we also have a unique life that only we can live in. And sometimes what we've been taught to believe is not always true. So sometimes questioning those things, especially that internal work you talked about, is really some of the important work that can yield to having
Yeah.
more fun and happiness and peace within ourselves and in life too. So. Well,
Yeah.
Scott, I just want to acknowledge you for writing this book, right? And for saying yes to a lot of things that led you here. And for the tenacity it took you, I know we were talking before we pushed record, 7 years in the making, folks. So this didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
7 years.
Yeah.
And really just to be able to put it out into the world, because I know that also takes a lot of bravery to unveil some of the more vulnerable sides of you of some of the stories that you probably wrote in the book. But if you are listening, look, Scott wrote this book for a reason, and it could be the book that changes your life. So go and check it out. But I appreciate you for taking the time to share some of your insights that you've learned on the way to hopefully inspire other people along the journey.
Really happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, and if you're listening, remember, I give y'all a little takeaway, and I wrote something that Scott gave us as a reminder that I'm going to try to remind myself today, and hopefully you remind yourself along this journey. And that is this. It's part of his definition of tenacity, but it is relentlessly keep going. So sometimes in life, there's times where we feel like we want to give up, but sometimes it's those times that it's just important to remind yourself, I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I'm going to keep going. And guess what? Tomorrow just might be better than yesterday. Till next time.
That's all for today on Inspiring Possible. If you found a little inspiration today, please go on over to iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen to leave us a comment and rate us. Also, make sure and link up with me at inspiringpossible.com to get the free Dream It, Write It, Do It workbook. And don't forget to follow us on social media and share this with anyone who needs to be inspired. Remember, if you can believe it, it's possible.